shocked me most, Mr. Editor, was at least the voting method. At our first meeting in Strasbourg, we voted on a resolution on aid to Ukraine. Some of the votes were by roll calls, some required a show of hands. I do not have the faintest idea on what basis someone who, the President of the European Parliament, was considered that a certain voting process had just been completed through the simple act of raising hands, leading to such a conclusion being drawn, because sometimes there wasn't even time to raise that hand, so I assume that these votes were simply predetermined due to the majority, which dominates in the European Parliament, making it purely procedural. So it's a scandal if voting is done in such a way. Why are there 2 seats of the European Parliament? Why do we travel to Strasbourg once a month and then return to Brussels to work in committees and groups? Why can't it be in one place? Why suddenly in 1 month is everything transported by buses from Brussels to Strasbourg? After all, it's a significant expense, not to mention the carbon footprint, which the European Union is so eager to combat.
Yes, I am in favor of MEPs or members of government in general being properly rewarded, but they must also represent something. Unfortunately, most politicians have less of a backbone. Honestly, I haven't thought about it yet. It's a fresh issue, and we will certainly consult our group on what the recommendation will be, so I would ask you to hold off for a while. In general, I have strong reservations about immunities in general. Perhaps I would strongly limit them, while on this particular case, I think we will already consider on an individual basis. It is the instinct to take responsibility for one's actions.
We're fed up with politicians designed solely for the present, who offer nothing but the destruction of our nation. Truly, it's more than enough. We don't touch yours, you don't touch ours. That's their motto. And they've been changing like this for several years, but how much longer can it go on, for heaven's sake? It's time for change. Together, we can achieve these transformations. Even a small step can make a big difference. Our progress is improving. We are recording better and better support, and we are steadily moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the generation of normals. We are the generation of 30-plus individuals who matured during the transformative years of the 80s and 90s. Yet we are a generation that has experienced a wonderful, normal freedom, but one based on very specific principles. We are a generation that has acquired a completely different working experience from the communist era generation. In our world, competence is not determined by a party membership card, and this distinguishes us from other politicians who attempt to organize our lives. We understand what hard work means and desire fair compensation for it. We are fed up with politicians who have never created anything in their lives, never innovated, only laid their hands on our money, constantly robbing us. And we just want to live a normal life. The state doesn't have to try to do everything for us, because their kindness simply costs us too much. We highly esteem work and wish to determine how we use its rewards. We appreciate money for the arduous effort it takes to earn.
What Ursula von der Leyen has done, how she has caused the European economy to become simply an open-air museum. What she presented herself with, for example, in that speech 2 weeks ago, where she said that the European Green Deal will continue to be a project that will be carried out by the European Union, and that screw will be tightened even more. She says on the one hand that we need to lower energy bills for companies and households, and on the other hand, the ETS will continue to function and will be extended even further to transportation and construction, so she simply lied in her speech.
Just before her appearance in the European Parliament, the issue related to the tenders for Pfizer vaccines came up, which were organized in a manner that was not entirely transparent or open to public scrutiny. And for this reason alone, she might indeed need to face a legal trial. And what I said 2 weeks ago directly to Ursula von der Leyen's face were the words that, judging by how these words were received, many would have told her, Europeans, not just Poles, but many others, because this speech resonated very strongly throughout Europe, and I received congratulations and words of support from all over Europe, from Germany, France, Italy, Greece, Spain, Hungary, from many, many countries, ordinary people who would like to say this to Ursula von der Leyen. simply saw in me their representative who had enough courage to say to her, I felt like a person who, for a moment at least, was the voice of normal people who want to live in Europe normally, who want to live in Europe safely. What Ursula von der Leyen has done in relation to migration policy has not stopped her in any manner whatsoever. She led to a situation where EU institutions are ineffective in fighting illegal immigration, causing criminal organizations involved in the smuggling of people to be able to expand and grow, and I simply do not want these people in Europe, and other women, residents of Europe, do not want these people either, and this woman looked at me with disdain, probably didn't fully listen to what I was saying, although those words might reach her later.
I don't look with contempt at people with different skin color. I want Europe to be a safe continent. Regardless of whether crimes are committed by people with light or dark skin, they should be held responsible for their actions. In the direction of the politicians of law and justice, who are now creating themselves as those, however, who are anti-immigrant politicians who want a really safe Europe, so I give them a tool. Since you want a safe Europe, create a commission of inquiry on illegals and migration with me. Fight in your factions in Europe, conservatives and reformists, in Patriots for Europe, and let's finally create a body that can perhaps explain why it is that human smuggling mafias have grown so much in Europe, and who gave the political umbrella of protection over these organizations, because someone clearly did.